just speaking of conflicting reports, yesterday there were a lot of them when it came to the case where the police horse entered the crowd. Ottawa Police had said that a bicycle was thrown at the feet of a horse, but there are conflicting reports online about that. Can you specifically tell us what happened and what happened to the civilian and the horse?
Yeah, so thank you. When you talk about misinformation, that's specifically one of the demonstrations for us of that. What happened is the crowd was escalating around the police. There was tension that was continuing to escalate between our public order unit members and the demonstrators on the line that was resulting in increased aggression by the demonstrators. Members of the mounted public order unit rode through the crowd that created separation and lowered the temperature and circumstances that existed there so as not to escalate force. Almost immediately, there was tweets, there was pictures that had been photoshopped out on social media that indicated people had died as a result of that. The horses had run over somebody with a walker in the crowd. What I can indicate is there was 2 members of the protesters who did collide with the horses. They fell down. They immediately got back up and started to again engage in their protest and demonstration activity. That is one of the circumstances where, as we monitor it, we're identifying misinformation and as quickly as we can providing accurate, real information about what is occurring on the ground.
Sorry, but was a bike actually thrown at a horse? Because there are images online that perhaps it was someone else's electronic wheelchair. So
we'll have to get more specific information on that for you, and I'll be able to provide more in coming days.
Hi, Chief Bell. It's Joanne Quinello from CBC Ottawa Local. You say you've arrested about 170 people since the police action has begun. How many folks have you actually charged?
So we're continuing to, one step is the arrest, the next step is the processing and charging of those individuals. We haven't yet pulled together and identified the number of charges that we've laid, but that will be released to the media and to the public as soon as it's available.
But are people being let go, for example, without being charged of anything, say if they promise to go home?
So what I can indicate again is we've arrested 170 people. We'll continue to do the investigations, and as we've identified those that are charged and those that may be released unconditionally, those numbers, we'll provide them to the media.
And as this is a massive operation, any chance there's a price tag on this yet? I think earlier on, when we had asked for 1,800 officers, there was an indication it might cost $2.5 million a day. Is that accurate? Or I know it's probably not exact at this moment.
So it's something that's very important to us. We know that this is going to be an extremely expensive operation. We've already talked to our federal and provincial partners about how at the end of the day we will look at having money provided to the police service for that. Those discussions are ongoing. We continue to track our costs. Our partners continue to work with us to identify the costs of policing to actually manage this event, and at the culmination of it, we'll be able to provide accurate figures.
You don't have a tally up till now, for example?
Just to remind all journalists, one question. Thank you.
Hi, Chief Bell. Gabriel, I'm from the French radio of CBC. Just wondering, do you know how many buildings are in lockdown right now in Ottawa? And I will take a response in French also, please.
So we don't identify buildings to go into lockdown. We don't tell building owners to put their buildings in lockdown. We do provide public safety announcements as to where the demonstration is happening, where our police operations are occurring within the demonstration. So we don't directly control the number of buildings which are locked down. So I don't have that number for you. Oh, sorry.
Ouais, en gros, que M. Bell disait, c'est qu'on ne contrôle pas nécessairement les entreprises qui vont en lockdown. On va donner des annonces de sécurité publique pour les rassurer, mais présentement, on n'a pas le chiffre total de tout ce qui est fermé depuis le début de la manifestation.
Hi there, Erica Ibrahim, the Canadian Press. I'm wondering what your message is to protesters and Canadians more broadly who might be upset and angry with images being published of police hitting protesters with batons and other types of force. There are images of some people, or some police striking crowd members with batons who were retreating and not being aggressive toward them. There were media in the crowds that have witnessed and reported on this. I'm wondering what you would say to those who may be concerned by that.
As I indicated earlier, we will have the opportunity to review all of those files. There are complaint mechanisms for people to enter into if they feel that there is excessive use of force by members of our police service. What I will also say is we have been here for 3 weeks. I have been at this podium for the last 5 days, imploring people to leave, asking them to get out of our streets. This occupation is over. We have advised them that if they peacefully leave, they may go home. That still exists. We also indicated that we would escalate and forcefully remove people from the streets if they did not comply. Some of that is what you're seeing. So I will stand here today again and say, this demonstration is over. Go home. If you don't go home, we will remove you from the streets.
This will be the last question.
Hello, I'm Andy Lee. I'm from Independent Media. So I was in the crowd yesterday. I was unfortunately hit with some pepper spray. I just have a question. There's some video cameras that the police are using and some news outlets are reporting that you're gathering intelligence with those cameras. Can you elaborate, like, if the protesters at this point, retreat and go home, are they going to be getting sort of repercussions down the road? Or are you going to be sort of actively pursuing the people that you've been sort of documenting and filming who are still out there protesting? What are your plans after this, after the protest is over?
Thank you. It's a great question. And the simple answer is yes. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months to come. It has many, many different streams, both from a federal financial level, from a provincial licensing level, from a criminal code level, from a municipal breach of court order, breach of court injunction level. It will be a complicated and time-consuming investigation that will go on for a period of time. You have my commitment that that investigation will continue and we will hold people accountable for taking our streets over.
And could I just ask one more question?
Can we ask a question to Mr.
This
Ayotte?
concludes the media availability. Ceci conclut le point de presse. Merci.
Merci.